Hi, I'm Graham and welcome back to Man vs Film. This is going to be a top 10 of movies that you can watch on Netflix UK for the month of December 2017. So let's get started. Number 10, Bronson. A young man who was sentenced to 7 years in prison for robbing a post office ends up spending 3 decades in solitary confinement. During this time, his own personality is supplanted by his alter ego, Charles Bronson. Bronson is directed by Nicholas Winding Refn and has a star-making performance by Tom Hardy as the titular character. This is one of those true life stories that has to be seen to be believed. A man who did commit a crime, went into jail and found that this was his kind of people, where he could really rule the roost, and the real id of his personality comes out in full effect. It's filled with all these weird artistic touches that really add a little bit of quirkiness and a little bit of oddness to the movie that it needs to alleviate the sort of violence that comes quite rapid and very vicious. This is a really good movie. Number 9, Horns. After Iggy's long-term girlfriend is murdered and the whole town agrees that he is the murderer, he awakens one morning with horns, and the town people soon start to confess their sins to him. With his newfound abilities to make people tell the truth, Ig goes on search for his girlfriend's killer. Daniel Radcliffe stars in Alexander Aja's adaptation of Joe Hill's book, which is basically a weird roundabout way of saying that this is a lot of creative parts that come together to create quite a unique and interesting take. Daniel Radcliffe breaks his mould of Harry Potter to become a kind of bad guy. He's genuinely good at heart, but he is made evil by the townsfolk's perceptions of him. And this side of him walking about this town with the horns, just making people be completely honest, is kind of quirky, kind of fun. It is full of some good horrific scenes, and it has a real big mystery at the heart of it that really propels the story forward. Number 8, The Bone Collector. A quadriplegic ex-homicide detective enlists the help of a young police officer to be his eyes, ears and hands at a crime scene as he tracks down a serial killer who is terrorising New York. Denzel Washington stars as the bed-bound homicide detective, and his young protege is Angelina Jolie in this really nice but kind of obvious whodunit. Unfortunately, it falls through the staple of having a character actor who we've seen in many things before be the serial killer, but other than that, with that taken away, it still offers some really interesting, intense set pieces as Washington's character is trapped in a bed but is seeing things through the use of cameras and knows that there is certain danger about and he can't do anything about it. It's an interesting if quirky tale, and if you like serial killer movies, it's got a lot to offer in that genre. Number 7, 6 Days. In April 1980, armed gunmen stormed the Iranian embassy in London and took all inside hostage. Over the next 6 days, a tense standoff took place, with trained SAS in the standby waiting to raid the building. 6 Days tells the story of this hostage crisis that I didn't really know too much about, and I think it touches on most of the facts, but it is embellished as most Hollywood movies tend to be, but I think it makes it a little bit more of an interesting story. One of the funniest things about this movie is the trained SAS part of it. You have these guys who just seem like raging testosterone machines just waiting to burst in and shoot everybody, and they keep having to scrap plans and come up with new ones. And I don't know if it's supposed to be funny, but I found it particularly funny. The hostage crisis itself, you don't really spend too much time inside the building. It's more about the roundabout scenario of how it's affecting everybody else and the country. And it's a tale that if you don't know much about, it's quite interesting. Number 6 is Bon Cop, Bad Cop. 2 Canadian detectives, one from Ontario, the other from Quebec, must work together when a murder victim is found on the Quebec-Ontario border. This is semi-subtitled because it takes parts in both French Canada and English-speaking Canada, so it kind of jumps in between these two. I had a big nostalgia kick as this reminded me a lot of buddy cop comedies from the 80s and mid-90s, and I loved the interplay between these two cops, David and Martin. I thought they were fantastic together, and it's their relationship that the movie really rests its shoulders on because they are fantastic, and I could have spent more time with these guys and had a lot of fun. There's some good action set pieces. I liked the story. It's not really overly important, but it's more about the relationship between these two guys, which is terrific. And also, if you like this, the sequel has just appeared on Netflix as well. Not as good, but still worth a watch if you want more of the character interactions. Number 5, Steve Jobs. The movie takes us behind the scenes of the digital revolution to paint a portrait of the man at its epicenter. The story unfolds backstage at 3 iconic product launches ending in 1998 with the unveiling of the iMac. Starring Michael Fassbender, directed by Danny Boyle and written by Aaron Sorkin. If you're a fan of movies, those 3 things should have you just dying to watch this, and I strongly suggest checking it out. I'm not a fan of these autobiographical movies because sometimes I feel as if they just don't work. They feel like a condensed history of this person, but this is a really novel take on it. It follows set patterns, and they're each about 40 minutes long, and it's just about 3 product launches, just the 40 minutes before he goes live. You don't see him on stage, just dealing with the same set of people, the same 3 or 4 people in each scenario, and how the relationships and the dynamics have changed over this timescale that's in between these product launches. It's a really interesting take on the movie with some really fantastic performances, especially Kate Winslet, who I think steals the show here. This is a must-watch movie if you haven't seen it already. Number 4 is Everybody Wants Some. In 1980, a group of college baseball players navigate their way through the freedoms and responsibilities of unsupervised adulthood. Richard Linklater's spiritual successor to Dazed and Confused is just brilliant. It's a hangout movie. You pretty much have these group of guys who are just hanging out for 3 days before college starts. They're just getting a feel for each other. They're living life. They're going out partying, drinking, womanizing, having competitive matches over pretty much nothing with each other as the male id city competes against one another. It's terrific. It's full of the great characters, some that you like, some that you don't, some that you like sometimes, others that you don't at all. It's just a great movie about guys hanging out and just being guys, and it doesn't feel the length, and it just zips by, and it's so enjoyable, and it really is just as good as Dazed and Confused. Number 3, La La Land. Sebastian and Mia are drawn together by their common desire to do what they love. But as success arrives, they are forced with decisions that will fray the fragile fabric of their love affair. Damien Chazelle's Oscar-winning musical arrives on Netflix. Stars Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, and they are terrific together. This is full of really fantastic songs that you can really just tap your foot along to. The movie is gorgeous looking. It's lots of primary colours that really make it just pop off the screen at you. Some fantastic dance numbers that are just stunning to watch. It's a real fun-filled movie. If you haven't already seen it, you need to give it a shot. You'll know within the first 5-10 minutes whether you're going to like it, and I think most people will get something out of this fantastic film. Number 2, Hacksaw Ridge. In World War II, Army medic Desmond T. Doss, who served during the Battle of Okinawa, refuses to kill people and becomes the first man in American history to receive the Medal of Honor without firing a shot. Andrew Garfield stars as Doss in Mel Gibson's directed World War II masterpiece here. It's a story of 2 halves. You get the first half where you really learn about Doss and his beliefs and how he tries to get through the army training. Even though everything is against him, he has this will and desire to continue. The second half of the movie, when sheer carnage unleashes itself across the scene with this ridiculously violent battle, is when the movie moves into a more tense, exciting, uplifting finale. As Doss scours this battlefield trying to save people while bullets and people are just causing carnage all round about him. This is a fantastic movie that just, I haven't found anybody that doesn't like it. It's terrific, and if you missed it in the cinema, you have got to check this thing out. And number 1, Other Life. After inventing a drug that induces time-compressed virtual realities, young Ren grapples with her partner Sam over how to use their powerful creation. A movie that I knew nothing about when I put on, and I think it's a movie that a lot of people are going to skip by because you haven't heard of it before, which is why it's my number 1 for this month. It's got some fantastic photography, but the idea behind the movie is really good. It's about this drug that you drop into your eye and you experience a day holiday within a matter of seconds, and the brain believes that it's real. Things transpire, and the programmer who created this ends up killing somebody, and she has an option to take. She can go to jail, physical jail, or her drug can be used to put her within a virtual jail for a year. It may only take a second of her life, but it will feel like a year of her life has been wasted away in a room. and she decides to take that option, and it kind of snowballs from there. It's got a lots of twists and turns that I just did not see coming, which really surprised me. I like the characters. I love some of the photography in this. Some of the snowboarding scenes or at the beach, they're terrifically filmed. It's a real good mystery movie that keeps you guessing as to what's happening and constantly surprises you. I think it's a terrific watch that you could possibly just miss out, which is why it's my number one. So thanks for watching this video. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and drop me a note in the comment box if there's something that should have been on my list that I haven't included. It will allow other people to see it, maybe pick it up, and maybe I'll put it on next month's list. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time on Man vs Film.